businesses that they can afford to have streaming as a loss leader, whereas Netflix and some of these other pure streaming plays cannot.
So, Mark, this is really interesting because I live it, right? My daughter watches Frozen and Moana on repeat, and then she begs me to take her to the toy store and spend much more money on the products from those two films.
Wait till you go to the Disney park.
And she wants to go to the parks because of them. So
right.
What David's saying makes a heck of a lot of sense to me. I'm much poorer for the streaming service. What do you think?
Well, I think ultimately, you have to buy products, not stocks, in the sense of the stocks that have the best price for what you buy. Consumers want streaming. So I don't quite agree with the idea that Disney should move away from what its customers want. They want on-demand content. They want a big choice in the content. And I think Disney companies, they figured out how to make that profitable on linear television, and I think there's no reason they won't figure out how to do that profitably on streaming. They're definitely going through a transition, and that from linear to streaming, and that transition has a lot of costs associated with it. But if you want to be involved in Disney long term, you have to believe in all the products, the streaming products, the park products, the cruise products, and all the other, ESPN and all of that. So I think streaming is potentially the most important part of Disney, because the migration from linear to TV is on the level of 1 million households a month.
Well,
the city is the size of Phoenix a month.
David, come back. Are you saying Disney should be out of streaming? Or that you say it makes sense,
No.
but it's because it's a funnel into everything else?
Yeah. I think we're really on the same page here.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they should get rid of it. I think they should de-emphasize and not throw money after it like crazy, like Netflix did for years, right? And sort of Netflix and Salesforce were sort of these original business models that were built on an unlimited amount of capital to burn, in the hopes of building a large enough customer base that they could eventually monetize that in a profitable way. That's not working for either business. And I think the good news is that Disney's not trying to do that. They do need it. It is a new channel. There's no question streaming around to stay, for sure. But don't go chasing streaming to the point where you're trying to acquire unprofitable customers.
But you do think it's a loss leader, though, right, David? So you think, for example, investors sell the stock when they see subscriber numbers fall, streaming subscriber numbers fall. And you're saying, hey, those subscribers are expensive as hell. So if I see a few of them fall away in a quarter or two, it's not going to bother me.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So I'm saying, because a lot of these losses were in India and non-U.S. And those are the least profitable customers. They're money losers. And so it's just time to get rational in the business, because Netflix set an example being so irrational because they were using capital as a weapon, which meant they could spend unlimited amounts of money to just go acquire customers for the sake of showing customer growth. Remember when everyone talked about Netflix, it was always about customer growth and nothing about profits, right? Now we're talking about profits, and so they're both seeing customer declines, and that's because you shouldn't chase unprofitable customers. That doesn't mean the channel goes away. It just means it becomes more rational.
Now, Netflix is actually up today, or was up in the cash session, almost 3%. And I don't want to completely, change the subject of the conversation here, but Mark Douglas, do you think Netflix still has a future? I mean, I believe that David's position is Netflix is going to cash burn itself out. Do you think Netflix is going to be able to cut costs and make money at some point? Because they haven't really generated free cash flow thus far.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely, given their scale, the opportunity to cut costs. I agree with what's being said in terms of different markets and different unit economics, and you kind of have to make a clear choice as to which of those economics that you want to pursue. I think the big thing for Netflix is how all in are they going to go in terms of ad-supported models. And if the streaming model, the unit economics, at least in some markets, it hasn't been the greatest. But the opportunity to sell ads against that content, I think, is a boost to the brand. It brings in more of those subscribers. And even with their core subscribers, I mean, there's an opportunity to essentially do price increases through, basically the inclusion of ads at some point. And maybe you trade $1 or $2 of discount for $5, $6, $7 more of revenue over the month. But these things are hard to do, and I think I completely agree that the obsession with subscribers, it needs to stop. I think people actually want that because it's a reason to get the stock to swing and generate profits for short-term traders.
David, you've got this natural language processing technology formula. You can really look at Disney earnings, the quality of those earnings, and against its current valuation. When you do that, David, what does it tell you about Disney?
Well, Disney's economics are the worst they've been in a while. Look, I think the double whammy of the Fox acquisition and COVID was rough. But we are seeing the margins and returns on capital turning back up. And I think with Bob Iger back in charge, we can expect to see that trend continue. And that's why we're bullish. We think if returns on capital get back to half of where they were, the stock's easily $130 stock.
Mark, ESPN streaming, how valuable is that? Because you know that there's been pressure on Disney to kind of kick it out as a separate entity.
Yeah, I think it's critical to the brand. I mean, the one thing everyone should remember: more people watch television a day than use social media, and they spend 3 times as much time doing it too. They spend 59 minutes a day on TikTok and Meta. They spend 4 hours a day on television. So the Disney brand is built on the appeal to a lot of consumers. A lot of that appeal starts with those television assets, those movie assets. So they're really critical to brand. I actually think long term the biggest risk to Disney is the brand is associated with being magical, and they need to maintain that magic in terms of everything they're doing. So they have to balance the short-term cost cutting with maintaining the magic. To maintain the price points that they have, like at Disneyland, and with all these products and moving over time with the subscription services. I think it's really critical for the long-term health of the Disney brand.
All right, guys, we got to leave it on that note.
I didn't get to complain about ESPN Plus.
Well, you know what? We'll save that for next block.
Okay, I just want to complain because I don't get to see enough good games on ESPN Plus, and I don't have cable.
Help me. Is it Friday yet? David Traynor over at New Constructs, Mark Douglas at Mountain. We really appreciate you joining Matt and myself. You are listening and watching Bloomberg Business Week, and this is Bloomberg Radio.
This Friday, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will join Bloomberg Television and Radio exclusively from the G7 meeting in Japan. Tune in to Bloomberg tomorrow morning, very, very early at 3:30 a.m. to catch Janet Yellen.
You should get up.
Well, we're going to probably play clips of it throughout the day.
We probably will. Hey, coming up, we're going to step away from the markets, check in with the team over at Johns Hopkins about something that probably impacts many of you, or at least someone you know out there. That's coming up next.
Now, your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
A warm afternoon continues with mostly to partly sunny skies. Temperatures within a few degrees of 80. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy skies. A mild night coming up near 60. Tomorrow, even warmer. Tomorrow's the warmest day. Low to mid-80s and partly sunny. Chance of showers late Friday night. Saturday, maybe a spot shower or two. 75 to 80. And clouds and sun cooler. 60 to near 70 on Sunday. This is Gary Best with your weekend weather forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
Breaking news first. Bloomberg spoke exclusively with J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon.
The regional banks, they're quite strong. Their financial results are good. They're earning money. They've got very good clientele, very diversified. The banking crisis, I still believe, will kind of sort its way through. It's not anything like 08 or 09. So hopefully, it's getting near the tail end of that.
For market-moving news from the top names on Wall Street, stay with Bloomberg 1130, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com.
A graduate with 3 degrees from New Jersey Institute of Technology, Robert Cohen chairs NJIT's Board of Trustees. He's also a top executive at medical device maker Stryker Corporation and helps recruit top talent from universities like NJIT.
If you look at where NJIT students are going, go to a career fair. There are lines of companies that want to get into the career fair, and it's because they see those students as practical, innovative. I can tell you for a fact, because we hire many NJIT graduates, These students can contribute right from the get-go. The guy who reports to me, who's in charge of all my implant development, NJIT grad. The guy who reports to me in charge of all my robotics development, NJIT grad. They contribute to the development cycle. They contribute to the testing. We have NJIT graduates in manufacturing. We have NJIT graduates in quality assurance. We have NJIT graduates in our computer science. These students are some of our best.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu.
Dear Calvary Hospital, my father, Curtis Moore, is my hero. Now 96 years old, he has led an exceptional life of self-sacrifice. A Moffett Point Marine, a New York City detective, and a family man who cared for his children and grandchildren his entire life. So when other hospitals could no longer relieve his suffering or our family's emotional pain, we brought in Calvary's miraculous team of home hospice experts. Thanks to Calvary's doctors, nurses, and social workers, Dad was able to resume the quality of life he wanted and deserved, surrounded by the love of his entire family. And I became more than just his caregiver. I was his daughter again. Thank you, Calvary. Phyllis Robinson.
This is Frank Calamari. With Calvary at Home, experience our unique Calvary care right in your own home. Call us today at 718-518-2465.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash. Well, the major averages, they ended this session pretty much where they were all trading session all day long. Mixed. Coach owner Tapestry, which also owns Kate Spade and Stuart Weitzman, reporting far stronger than forecast profit and revenue in the just finished quarter. Thanks to shoppers everywhere, Tapestry shares, they rose 8% in today's session. You know, last week, pilots at American Airlines, they voted overwhelmingly to authorize the strike. Today, Southwest pilots, they did the same. It's a sign of frustration over what they view as lack of progress in their contract talks. The vote in favor was 99% for the pilots. And Adidas, or if you live in Europe, Adidas, they had considered physically destroying millions of pairs of those sneakers from its terminated collaboration with the rapper Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. But Adidas now plans to sell the merchandise, and what they're going to do with the proceeds, donate all of it to charity. And then you had Walt Disney's disappointing earnings last quarter, slammed the stock today. The Dow in particular, so that was down 222 points, the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The S&P 500, 7 points lower. That was down 0.2%, 4130 on the index. The NASDAQ 100 was up 42 points today, ending the session up 0.3%. And Matt, you're right. Now I can't get Carole King out of my head.
Tapestry. Well, here, I've got a new one because he's like,
I can't believe you've never heard of Tapestry?
Me?
Yeah.
Of course.
The album. A great album. Well, maybe you're too young for it, Carol.
Are you both now mansplaining Carole King to me? I am
Yes, we
so
are.
I grew up with Carole King.
I did too. My sister Ellen had the album.
There you go.
I mean, I can't put mansplaining Carole King. I'm done. I am so done with you two. All right, we're going to move on. John Tucker, thank you so much. Let's get to it. We're going to take a step back from the markets for a moment to something I think it's safe to say that most of us have dealt with in our lives on some level, and that is hearing loss. About 2 to 3 out of every 1,000 children in the U.S. are born with a detectable level of hearing loss in one or both ears. More than 90% of deaf children are born to hearing parents, and roughly 15% of American adults, we're talking about more than 37 million age 18 and over, report some trouble hearing. So it's a big issue. So we wanted to get to it with Dr. Carrie Neiman, core faculty member for the Cochlear Center for Hearing and Public Health at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, supported by Michael R. Bloomberg, founder, of course, of Bloomberg LP and Bloomberg Philanthropies. She is with us on Zoom from Bethesda, Maryland. Dr. Neiman, it is so nice to have you here with Matt and myself. It is a big issue. I certainly dealt with it with my aging dad. Went through hearing aids. It wasn't always such an easy process. But talk to us a little bit about...
That's why I'm so loud, by the way.
You are loud, man. Oh, my God.
Well, I know, but it's all joking aside, right? It's because I have pretty significant hearing loss. And
Over time?
I just
Or were
don't
you
hear
born-
myself as well.
Were you
and
born with? Or
no, I
Oh.
just ruined my hearing in my teenage years, and as a result, I guess, you know, the same thing happened to my dad, so it could be genetic to
All
some
right.
extent.
Dr. Neiman, come on in and kind of set the stage for us, because it apparently, like I said, it affects a lot of us.
Yeah, exactly. Almost all of us at some point in time are going to experience some degree of hearing loss. The thing that I think has really shifted and changed in the past 10 to 15 years is now how we think about hearing loss. We really no longer think about it as this just benign part of the aging process. It is, something that we view and need to view right in the context of healthy aging. So if we all want a shot at aging as well as possible, it needs to be kind of in that long list of things that we're all thinking about as we age.
So how do people deal with it if they have less money? You know, my mother-in-law, who lives in Spain, which is a socialist country, just spent 4,000 euros to buy hearing aids. And I was so, impressed with the price. I just couldn't believe it. Is that how much that kind of gear costs?
That's kind of what it cost my dad, I think, too.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's certainly in line with what we see, what we've traditionally seen. The thing that has shifted in this, really past year or so is the advent and the opening of over-the-counter hearing aids into the market. And so that's one important piece of the puzzle in terms of how do we make hearing care more affordable, is by bringing the technology side of things down in terms of opening up that market. And so it's not dominated just by a few kind of players, but opening up to